The views and opinions expressed do not necessarily represent those of Access Fort Wayne, the Allen County Public Library, or any other supporting group. If you or anyone you know might be interested in making a television show, please call 260-421-1250. Access Fort Wayne is a department of the Allen County Public Library.
Hello, my name is Sean Stockman of Boys to Men. Darling, I can't explain. Where did we lose our way? And said it's driving me insane. And I know I just need one more chance to prove my love to you. And if you come back to me, I'll guarantee that I'll never let you go. Ooh, can we go back to the ways? Yeah. Ooh, can somebody tell me how to get things back the way they used to be? Sing it. Oh God, give me the reason I'm down on bended knee. Ladies and gentlemen, your host and producer of A Dose of Landis, Mr. Jeff Landis.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Sean Stockman of Boys to Men. That was our last show's seasoning opening for last season. I wanted to go back to retro because it's kind of cool having my favorite group, one of my favorite band members, Boys to Men, introduce me for A Dose of Landis. It's kind of a good feeling. I mean, it costs a penny.
Absolutely.
It costs them good money for it, but it's all worth it at the end because how often does somebody on public access get introduced by a big name?
Absolutely.
But today, my special guest is Richard Quinn. How's it going?
Thanks, Jeff, for having me on here. I appreciate you.
Oh, not a problem. So we linked up through Facebook. He watched my shows back in the day. I did not know that until we started talking, and then he was telling me that he does is it like a podcast that you do, or what is it that you're doing?
Not really doing a podcast. I just share important information. I help share it across the nation. It's called Gematria Effect News. It's Zachary K. Hubbard's YouTube channel. So we're all fans of his, and we just got back from Oklahoma City on the anniversary of the Oklahoma City bombing. And a lot of us have been following him for about 5 years or more even. And we're just now starting to group up together and meet in places. For instance, we're going to go to September 11th. On September 11th, we're going to New York City this upcoming September. So we're really excited about that.
So how did you find out about this guy and this guy's channel? Because again, like I said, sometimes people lead us to on.
What Zach shows is scripted sports, scripted politics, and how there's a lot of agendas going on in this nation, in this world actually. And about 5 years ago, nearly 5 years ago, I stumbled across his YouTube channel and I was watching some videos on rig sports. And I didn't quite believe it right away, but something told me there's some truth to this. So I kept watching videos and kept watching videos. And after a while, I gave up on sports because I knew they were completely rigged, completely predetermined, and they mock us by the numbers. Whether it's a date on the calendar, whether like the Indians and the Braves both lose on Christopher Columbus Day, get knocked out. What are the odds, that the Indians and the Braves get knocked out on Christopher Columbus Day of the playoffs? There's just stuff like that over the years that's compiled that I finally knew that everything this man's saying is true. And then I learned the truth of 9/11 like you've never heard before. Then what are we calling it again?
The Roni.
The Roni came around. Zach was exposing that like in real time as it was happening, before it was happening, and it's just like the stuff's undeniable. And you know he's got a couple books that anybody can pick up on Google. It's called Number Games.
Yeah, we just can't advertise the price though.
What? No, we won't.
Okay.
You can't say the price, you said?
Yeah.
We won't say
Okay,
the price.
okay.
But it's a simple Google search. Number Games from 9/11 to Coronavirus is the title of his book. And anyone can find that on Google search. But yeah, I found him on YouTube and I watched more and more and more. And now I made these T-shirts and people are wearing them nationwide.
I'll be having one here pretty soon.
Yes, you will. Yes, you will.
Now I want to say today's show, because I got a couple messages after they seen you tag me. Warning that the views expressed do not necessarily represent me in the Allen County Public Library. It's, again, I believe in everybody has their own freedom of speech, their own freedom of right. I like people no matter who they are, creed, sex, whatever they want to decide to do. If they like this person, they like that. They like that person, they like that religion, that whatever. I'm not like that. I'm the person that believes that everybody should have the right to have their own way to speak their freedom.
That's right.
I like a person on who they are as a person. I like you if you're gay, you're mixed, or whatever. I don't care about that. All I care about is the person you are. But I do believe that everybody has that First Amendment right to speak how they feel. But I'm saying that stuff doesn't express on us because, again, there's people that likes to, you know what I mean?
I do.
You get what I'm saying? That's why I wanted to say this. I mean, again, like I said, I have nothing against you, but again, people are wussies when it comes down to certain subjects. Again, like I said, you know, we all have our different views. You know, like what are the stuff that you're talking about today? Some other people may not agree with our view.
Yeah.
But again, like I said, that's the people that, you know, you have that right to believe what you want to believe. If that makes any sense, what I'm saying.
It does make sense, Jeff. And the thing we always tell people, whether they want to believe, you got to notice that word that's right in the middle, believe, the word lie.
Yeah.
Whether someone believes it or they call this my opinion,
Yeah.
no matter what they think, the stuff we show is verifiable facts,
Yeah.
and there is no believe. But I do understand what you're saying, and it's not for everybody, you know. So, but I'm gonna show people the truth of 9/11 like they've never seen before today. So
Go for it. The forum's yours.
all right, you know, I like to start off with Pentagon construction began on an interesting date, and just people out there, pay attention to the numbers and the dates that you hear me talk, and you'll see the repetitive patterns. Pentagon construction, which is involved with 9/11, began September 11th, 1941. Anyone can look that up. That's a pretty curious date there. Now let's fast forward to 1968 when it all went down. At the conclude of me telling you this 9/11 ritual, and we call it a ritual, you'll look back and be like, well, I think it all began in 1968. Bush graduated from Yale Skull and Bones. And that's a college that only people that are going to become president are going to go to. You know, people who are chosen, people who are born and bred to be. And every year, that 1968 seems to be a special number to the Bushes, because every year, the date 9/11 is a span of 68 days from Bush's July 6th birthday. That's the same year World Trade Center construction began. That's the same year 911, AT&T made 911 the national emergency dialing code. So right there, what are the odds that World Trade Center construction began? 911 became the emergency dialing code. Now the Jets, the New York Jets football team, won their only Super Bowl that year. Jets are associated with 9/11. So you're starting to see some of the mockery. Bush graduated from Yale Skull and Bones in 1968 with 911 graduating classmates. Now, since then, they've changed it. Since Gematria Effect News has been exposing that, they changed the number to 910 on Google search. They contrive these numbers. They change the numbers when people start to catch on. And with the power of, that makes sense. With the computer, you can change the numbers. And we're going to get into something else a little bit later. It should blow your mind. So far we have 911 became the emergency dialing code. World Trade Center construction began, all in the same year Bush graduated. 911, 68 days from his birthday, just like 1968. Let's fast forward to September 11th, 1990. Bush gave a famous speech. The same man and his son, these are the same people along the way that are involved in this. 11 years to the day of 9/11 happening, Bush gave a famous speech of a new world order free of terrorism. Imagine the odds that 11 years to the day, and when I do this, I'm comparing it like the buildings look like giant 11s. So 11 years to the day of the tragedy, of 11 years to the day that flight AA-11 crashed in New York, the 11th state, on the 11th day into the buildings that look like 11s. And let's not forget about Flight 77, because it crashed exactly, reportedly, 77 minutes after takeoff. Flight 77 crashed 77 minutes later into the Pentagon that reportedly stood 77 feet tall and is located on the American meridian, the 77th meridian.
Wow.
What are the odds of all that, guys? Now back to changing the numbers. Zachary K. Hubbard had been exposing this and getting his channels deleted left and right. And I verified all the facts that I show. I looked the time. I looked at it to see if it was on the 77th meridian. I seen with my own eyes that the Pentagon stood 77 feet tall. And a couple years after we were exposing this, they changed the Pentagon to 71 feet. And that's on Google search. Why would they change the height of the Pentagon? And you can see both that they changed it. So it's not like it's invisible. You can see both heights. Why would a world government superpower, what did they do? Make a mistake and measure it wrong? No, they changed it because they were being exposed for Flight 77 crashing 77 minutes later into the 77-foot tall Pentagon located on the 77th meridian.
Wow. It seems like it has a lot to do with numbers. Again, like I said, that's how life is also with everything. Like, we're all numbers. I mean, we're all Social Security cards, we're all numbers.
You're right about that.
Money
Jeff.
is numbers. So again, like I said, it's like you're not important unless you have big numbers up, if that makes any sense.
It does make sense. Everything, Zach Hubbard figured all this out because he kept seeing that he knew it was numerological. Sorry, I can't pronounce that word well.
That's cool.
It was numerological. I can never say that word. That's where he caught on to all this. And then there's so many more events that he's covered that's in his book that we could cover, but obviously we won't have time today.
Oh, we'll probably bring on another time too.
Yeah, exactly. This stuff is very interesting and very true. And I'm just trying to think. Tom Brady. We on other shows we can go into scripted sports. They sync the news and the sports together.
Let's go into that a little bit too, because I'm kind of interested in that. Because I do professional wrestling stuff again. Like I said,
Yeah.
we were just talking about
Your
sports.
professional wrestling, we know is scripted because they tell us.
Yeah.
Here's what I've come to the
And
conclusion.
they're not ashamed to tell you, like,
No,
hey,
no.
we're entertainment.
Here's the beauty of it. The model that fake wrestling has, their blueprint, politics and sports follows that model. It's a work. I'm not even kidding.
No,
either.
I know. That's weird.
It's a
'cause you said
total
it's
work.
because that's what we use in the wrestling business.
And that's what the kayfabe thing. You know what kayfabe is?
of
Keeping it in character.
Yeah.
That's what professional sports athletes are doing today.
Wow, I didn't know
But
that.
that's the thing, though. That's where that separates. You have fake wrestling and fake sports. Everybody knows wrestling's fake, but nobody knows that professional sports are fake, too. Now, people are going to say, how does every player know? Or is every player in on the script? I don't think so. I mean, the third string linebacker, there's no reason for him to know it's scripted, because when he goes home and tells his wife what a great game it was, that also helps sell it to the public.
Yeah.
It's something that I picture as time has grown as there's more population, as there's more sports betting, you know what I mean? It's something that's grown. So maybe back in the 70s and 80s, maybe only a few players knew about the rig. As we get into the 90s and 2000s, you know, you got higher contracts, more money, more betting. Maybe more players are now in on it because everybody wants their, do you want to go pump gas for $10 an hour, or do you want to drop the ball when we want you to drop the ball? Because there's plenty, I have an endless supply of proof of sports being scripted, and most people don't want to see it, you know. It's on Daily Dose of Gematria. We have every one of Tom Brady's Super Bowls pretty much. We show how it's synced up with the date, and it's synced up with his amount of playoff wins and this and that. And you can, the way I look at it, you can play the game. It's just like being in the backyard. At the end, you don't have to script every play. This is what people don't understand. You play the game, you go back and forth, and at the end, the outcome is what's important in scripted sports. So that one play could be the ritual that they're looking for. You know, let's look at how Tom Brady's career was synced with 9/11. You tell me the odds of this. Have you heard of Drew Bledsoe?
Yeah, I've heard of him.
Hall of Fame quarterback. What number did he wear?
I don't remember.
Number 11, just like those buildings, just like Flight AA11, crashed in the 11th state. So tell me the odds that in the same month of 9/11, number 11, Drew Bledsoe, gets sacked by Mo Lewis of the Jets. So 9/11 happens, and then a week or two later, no one's heard of Tom Brady before, okay? Mo Lewis comes crashing into number 11, the Jet football player, bringing Bledsoe down with another scripted injury, and arises Tom Brady, the best thing now since sliced bread. You know, he's got all day in the pocket for 20 years. His wide receivers are always wide open. You know what I mean? Now, what happened when supposedly the real jet crashed into the buildings that look like 11s? Arose the Patriot Act. Do you see the mockery?
Yeah.
The Patriots were no good for years, and then all of a sudden 9/11 happens, and then Tom Brady, you know, enters the NFL, and now they're winning Super Bowls, and now they're supposedly cheating. You remember Deflategate, Spygate?
Yeah, I remember that.
The thing I like to tell people is the reason they create these narratives of Spygate and Deflategate is because if the public thinks that the players or the teams are cheating, then they'll think it's legitimate. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
It's reverse psychology.
And the reverse psychology is everywhere. Now, speaking of that, now do you guys also dig anything with Fort Wayne with some of the deep stuff as well? Have you guys thought about doing that, like locally?
I can tell you one thing off the air after you learn a little more gematria.
Okay.
With people's names equaling certain things.
Uh-huh.
It's something I wouldn't want to say right now because it has nothing to do with the matter we're talking about.
Right, no, I understand.
But you'll find it interesting.
I'm just trying to, because, you know, again, like I said, anywhere you go, there's all kinds of things that, like, around here, I'm sure there's
it's
a lot of
ritualism and symbolism. There's symbolism.
I know it's everywhere.
Everywhere.
Sure. Yeah.
But you don't see. And, you know, I think a lot of these mayors and governors and presidents are born and bred to be. An election is actually, in our opinion, as you call it, is a selection. It's all theater. And we prove it with Donald Trump. We prove it with Obama. We prove it with Biden. We know why Biden's the 46th president. You know what I mean? And it's all on Daily Dose of Gematria. Now, I know we don't have too much time. We have a half hour. You know, we've covered 9/11. Do you have any comments yourself on that? I mean, what do you think? I mean, based on what I told you.
I'm shocked learning some new stuff. Like, I had a guy I interviewed a couple of months ago, but it hasn't been on air yet, with Dr. Thermidor or something like that. Is from Cuba. And it's still going to air a couple shows down the road, but we just got to get on that. But he was telling me some interesting facts about stuff that was supposed to happen before then, too. So it's like, learning from you both, it's like, wow, different sides of things.
How many times does The Simpsons have to predict 9/11, you know? What about, have you ever seen the clip of Hulk Hogan and Macho Man?
Yeah.
With the Twin Towers? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, with the wrestlers.
Yeah, Hulk Hogan and Macho Man were in a promo.
Yeah.
talking about taking down the Twin Towers, the
Oh,
tag
okay,
team.
yeah, I remember.
That's
yeah.
mockery, man.
Wow.
I mean, we've shown wrestling does. Vince McMahon's one of these Freemasons. I'll tell you that right now. And we've shown it, man. Like, here's a great example. Do you remember the 25-point comeback with Brady and Belichick against that I told you about before we got on the air?
Yeah.
The Royal Rumble was 1 week before that game. And who was in that Royal Rumble? John Cena and AJ Styles. One from Boston, one from Georgia. Just like the two teams that were in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I don't look at it like that. I didn't look that deep into that, but I mean,
This is the kind of stuff they do, man.
wow, it's mind-boggling. Makes
And
you wanna
we
think.
show plenty more. Gematria Effect News 25 is his current channel, but he also airs from Gematria Effect News 22, 23, 24, and Gematria Effect Sports. He has to have a lot of channels because, well, he's on channel 25 right now, so that tells you they've taken down 24 before that, you know.
Wow, yeah.
But he uses like 3 or 4 channels so that when he gets a strike on this one, he can now go here and kind of play ping pong with it.
That's crazy. We're supposed to have our First Amendment right to say how we feel, but yet if we say certain things and people like to complain or whatever.
It's because he's exposing them, Jeff. The First Amendment right doesn't count when you're exposing evil tyrants. You know, that's the difference. And our next topic is the Roni. We're calling it the Roni today.
That's a good song, by the way, too.
I do want to get into that one because it's very important. It's very important.
20
Can I
minutes.
go ahead and can I just read off my phone so I don't forget points?
Yeah, no, go for it. Go for it.
Okay.
Go for it.
I got it all queued up here. Here we go. Guys, I'm going to show, I guess in my opinion, you know, to protect us here, a lot of things that are verifiable facts. And we're going to show how Bill Gates was born and bred to be for all of this. There's no doubt about it. I'm just going to read my own words. This might be my favorite version of the Roni riddle I've typed yet. I've been blogging in private groups, and they made me an admin right away after showing them 9/11 and Colin Kaepernick's kneeling ritual. I'm going to skip this paragraph, actually, because it's just me rambling on. Truth of Roni. At Gematria Effect News 24 and now Channel 25, well before the pandemic was declared, we saw it coming. They give us clues in the news when politicians are saying things or mocking us. To start, they love running simulations not covered by the media. The ones I'll tell you about are called Cladex and Event 201. Cladex was a simulation of the pandemic May 15th, 2018. Turns out, and must be just a coincidence, that it was a span of 666 days, right on the nose, before the March 11th pandemic began.
Wow.
Now let's get into Bill Gates and Event 201. Bill Gates has always advocated for world depopulation. On TED Talk in 2010, notice in 2010 there's a 201 there. Just like Event 201, it was named, the simulation was named Event 201. And anyone can look this up. Go to Google search and look up Event 201 and ask yourself how they can simulate a pandemic before the pandemic even begins. What he said on TED Talk is we can depopulate and reduce carbon emissions if we use Vaxoda properly. He literally said that on the show, and anyone can look this stuff up. Funny how the media doesn't talk about it, right? So to summarize that, he went on TED Talk in 2010, and he said we can, and you got to think this all happened in 2020. And on TED Talk, it was called his Decade of Vaccine speech. So something's fishy here already. You know, he's talking about depopulating the world, and we can do well if we do well with vaccines. October 18th, 2019 was the day they simulated the pandemic. That was months before March 11th, obviously. And do you know that was the same day the military world games began in all places, Wuhan, China. So you see the parallel there. You have Event 201 over here, and on this across the world you have the military world games beginning in Wuhan, China. See, this is part of their mockery. This is the kind of stuff that we've exposed for years. You might be able to stop and think and see the mockery there. Event 201 simulated a pandemic that could kill 65 million people. This is going back to the numbers I show.
Yeah.
Why would they say 65 million people specifically? As always, I say ritualistic people use numbers, not only to mock us, but to hide their deception. Why was it named Event 201, and why 65 million people? I'll start with, if you have any questions on who's running the show, for everyone in this world, it's the Jesuits, the military branch of the Catholic Church. They operate in 112 countries, and that's why we have 112 being the alt emergency dialing code. And lots have shown mockery over the years with that number. In the 1700s, Catherine the Great once saved 201 Jesuits. So it's a very special number to this group of people. Let's start off by saying in gematria, which is coding letters into numbers, people don't know that this stuff is used, and we prove 1,000,000 times it is. So A is 1, B is 2, C is 3. William Henry Gates equals 201. And I have screenshots for all this, and people can verify it. You look up gematria calculator to anybody out there on Google search that's watching this, and you can play around with the calculator, and I can give you some examples of stuff to type in, and you can see our language is built with letters.
Yeah, I noticed that a couple times. We got like 1 more minute left.
Oh, we have 1 minute left? That's not good.
We're definitely gonna have to bring you on to sometime soon. How can we get a hold of you for more information?
Richard Quinn on Facebook, Daily Dose of Gematria on Facebook, and Gematria Effect News. And it's too bad we only have a minute left because I didn't even get to dive into the Roni.
Sorry, so we can always bring you on another time too.
Okay, maybe he will just come on and do that one next.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
I appreciate it, man. But yeah, there's a lot of information. This gets better and better.
Oh, I know. It's definitely interesting. Definitely interesting show for sure. Again, like I said, how can I get a hold of you to find out some more information about this?
Anytime. You can just inbox me.
Okay.
You know. But on Daily Dose of Gematria or my page, you can find all this stuff typed out. So if you want, I'd go ahead and finish reading this.
Oh, go ahead.
To anybody out there.
Go ahead. We'll just wrap it up with him talking about it all.
What's that? You want me to finish?
Yeah, we'll end the show with you talking about it.
Okay, that's fine. I'll read it quicker.
Okay, yeah.
Let me figure out where I was. Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
I'm almost there. Let's start off by saying, in Gematria, William Henry Gates equals 201. That's exactly why it was called Event 201. After the pandemic was declared, the Pope Jorge Mario Bergoglio moved to Dorm 201 in the Vatican. His name also equals 201 in Gematria as well. I don't really teach Gematria, but I do show some examples as you see. Zachary K. Hubbard at Gematria Effect News 25 has a lifetime's worth of Gematria memorized, and I just share his work and guide people to him for building purposes. So the Pope's name equals 201, he moved to Dorm 201, and Bill Gates' name equals 201. He hosted Event 201, along with the World Health Organization and Johns Hopkins. So why did Event 201 say 65 million people? Also, how do you even have simulations of pandemics and they be legitimate anyway? In Gematria, pandemic equals 65. When you type out pandemic, it equals 65. A clue that Bill Gates was born and bred to be for this seems to be a special number to him. Bill and Melinda were once married on Bill's 65th day of his age. Imagine the odds of both of that. 1 in 365 chance. So Bill...
I'm down on bended knee. Ladies and gentlemen, your host and producer of A Dose of Landis, Mr. Jeff Landis.